All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? The first of four races this weekend. Got a pretty big schedule with F1 on Sunday. We got the Truck Series Gateway. Could really care less about them, but we'll see how Saturday goes of how interested I am in wasting my time for the Truck Series at Gateway. And then we got the two Daytona races, which are the final two races that I truly give a shit about this year. That's going to be fun. Everybody knows the way I'm approaching this. I'll answer the questions in a moment. But I mentioned it in the Discord, and I can't really imagine that. And yet again, first and foremost, first caveat is if they wreck, I'm not making any money. That's just it. I build for WreckFest. I build for wrecks. If people don't wreck, if they don't spin out, if they don't wreck, if this goes green and nobody, the people up front who should be up front the whole race stay up front and they finish where they should finish, then I'm not making any money. That should be the first thing. So any of my advice, any of my building here follows that, to where people don't wreck out, or if the guys in the back kill themselves in like lap 30, then your night's just over and you're just toast. You got to accept that here and there. Like I said, you got to stack again. Ironically enough, it was yesterday. The early slate, Boston against the most popular pitcher. You got to grow a pair of nuts and stack against the most popular pitcher. So I just stacked the Red Sox, and they fucking scored like 17 runs, okay? Same thing here. You build on an avenue, and if it doesn't happen, you're not going to win money. That's just how it is. I think it's very easy, or let me change that. Maybe not easy, but I think we can very easily project where ownership is going to go. Now, I did not have SaberSim last year, nor do I use an optimizer to build any of my superspeedway lineups. I've always hand-built every single one of them ever since I've been doing this, which surprised a lot of people in Discord as well. Or even the fact that I take literally like 2 hours. Like, I just finished the lineups maybe 15 minutes ago, and I started right when Xfinity Series qualifying ended because I was not necessarily running sims, but gaining an idea of where lineups are going to go. Anyway, going back, so I didn't have SaberSim last year, so I don't know what they were projecting or whatnot. But it was very interesting to see who they had projected to be the highest scoring guys, because it made a lot of sense today. Their highest scoring guys are where are we at? Or Anderson, Ryan Sieg, Jeremy Clements, J.J. Yaley, Gray Galdon, which I agree with. Those should be the highest scoring guys. So I don't know if they were doing that last year. I don't know if that's more of a people leaning more towards that, but I thought that was interesting to see, because it's usually never reflected in the contest. Secondly, when you ran it and look at the highest scoring lines, all their lines are 5-1s, 4-2s, which I agree with. That's what it should be. So if people are running, I have to assume that it's been that way for much longer than just this one race. So I don't know how people still don't end up building like that, whatever the case may be. But I think it is very easy to pinpoint where ownership's going to go. Maybe not necessarily the highest or with the exact percentage, but we can highlight where people are going to go, and I think it's going to make a lot of sense. And I'll answer any questions you guys have here, because as I've said it before, I'll say it again. These are my favorite races. A lot of people don't want to waste time talking about them, whereas I want to spend hours and hours talking about them. I was looking at just on this channel, I think I have like nearly 24 hours of content just on plate racing. Like that. That's like wild. Like nobody has that shit. Nobody does that. So let's go ahead and look through. And if you guys want to rant after this, I got a pretty good story for you. If we need to kill time in about 30 minutes or whatever, I plan on being here for at least till 6:15 my time, so on and so forth. So we have 57 minutes until lock. So maybe just I'll give it like 30 minutes or so and see what you guys are doing. So let's go ahead and put this up on the screen here. So what you should be doing, and you can do this on a very basic level, going to race and reference, sorting by the restrictor plate section. Now, when we were using them, look, I agreed, and that's why I was with him. I said Pierce made the best sheets out there, and he still did. It's a fucking shame he's not making them anymore. But I loved the visual aspect of those. They were very easy to read, very easy to see things, and they played dividends on plate races specifically. Now, this is basically the exact same thing, but we just did, this is like I don't like this type of listing things off. Now, I'm assuming other people who have sheets, aren't listing the last, 15 finishes of each driver where you can see them. They just have it like this, top 5s, top 10s, and everything. But we can easily pinpoint like who's going to carry ownership, who's a good play. Typically, whenever you fall in the top 14, 15, even the top 20 here, and you're starting the back of a race, you're going to carry ownership. And I entered just like without even I built projections because I want to see where people are at. Like, for example, I'll show them to you here because they don't really fucking matter. When we look at projections here, I got Austin Hill leading like 28 laps, winning the race. This is where a lot of it falls down to. Now, I'm not using projections to build this. This is just what I wanted to use to be able to see. Let me move this so I'm not in the way. I made these so I can just see where things are going to go. And clearly, like Clements, Anderson, Sieg is there. But I do believe we're going to see ownership on Austin Hill. I do believe we're going to see ownership probably on the Junior Motorsports guys. Moffitt, I might be a little aggressive on. I gave him 10th. But I think we're going to see quite a lot of ownership on Moffitt, certainly on Parker Retzlaff. And when you sort these by highest scoring, I think that gives you an idea of how the public or like the bad money is going to play. Because I want to see where everything would end up coming in at. But let me move this here. When we look here and we see, hey, who's starting in the back, that is probably going to look pretty good. Well, Ryan Sieg is starting dead last, finished top 5 in 3 of the last 10 races. When you look at this, wrecked out of only 3 of them. I mean, that is what you want to see. I mean, this is you can't wish for a better guy starting last. Okay, so Ryan Sieg is going to carry quite a lot of ownership. Okay, so we're going to highlight him as orange because I just like using orange as chalk. Don't know why. That's just the thing I like. Now, Anderson, I would rather be between Ryan Sieg and Anderson. I want to be. I keep wanting to say Dennis Anderson because that's the only like Anderson I actually care about. Between Sieg and Anderson, I want to personally lean towards Anderson because he's a team owner and he understands the amount of money they're putting into this race. The bad thing with that is people who actually pay attention and have done this before a time or two are going to understand that, hell yeah, Jordan Anderson would carry ownership in the truck series because he would finish races. He doesn't tear shit up, okay? So despite the fact we have no data in the Xfinity series for him at plate races, we have no Jordan Anderson last 10 races, so he's not going to pull up in this. Now, unless people are like taking in the truck series thing, which like if you pay attention, you'll be like, yeah, okay, Anderson is, So the same thing here. You can't really think of a better person who isn't like a big name driver from Junior Motorsports to start in the back of the field. But these guys are both good plays. I would personally want to try and be higher on Anderson over Sieg, but I want to try and be under the field on both of them. I think the field is probably going to lean towards Sieg. It was interesting that SaberSim gave Anderson the highest projection. When I look at my stuff, like I'm giving it to Anderson as well, so keep that in mind. I don't know what Anderson's ownership is going to come in, but we just know he's going to be played and everything like that. Jeremy Clements is the next guy back here, okay? So we understand, yet again, we go back to this, and we go back to, just the fucking spreadsheet warriors and guys hitting their fucking keyboard against their head to build lineups. We see Jeremy Clements here, who last year, also, if you guys, maybe you don't care, but I always post the reactions of me and my friends watching this shit, because I think it's hilarious, because we're just all legit wanting everybody to die. Like, we're just like, flip shit, send stuff in the fence, and my buddy Sean, this stuck in my head more than anything last year, was just they're interviewing Jeremy Clements' his dad on the pit box under like the second to last yellow, when it's like, hey, so and so, Mr. Clements, your son Jeremy is leading this Daytona race. What do you think is going to happen here? But Sean's like talking over the reporter and saying, Mr. Clements, your son just took out 15 cars in this race. How are you feeling? Because that's what he did. Jeremy Clements wrecked like the whole fucking field last year to win the race. Like two cautions before, he wrecks Gregson, and Gregson just kills the field. And so that just always sticks in my head. But Clements compared to where he's starting, he's going to finish this race. Okay? That's basically what's going to happen here, okay? It's going to be very rare. Like, when we're looking at how people finish races, the outlier is his 37th, okay? his finished position is going to be 24th to 15th, if not better, if there's more wrecks. And so, do that. We're going to see Jeremy Clements carry ownership. Past that, Parker Retzlaff, Moffitt, and that's really about it back here. I can't really think of anybody like specifically pulling things. Like, people want to thank Jeffrey Earnhardt unless they're like a bunch of idiots. Is like, is he on the 20? Is he in the 3 car again? Earnhardt's 23rd best recently. When you look at his finishes, like, he's finishing races. Like, I prioritize guys who are going to finish races. Like, that's the one thing we want. Okay, and not even in a sense of like not prioritizing, but it's good to see. And you can also look back at the other point of it as like Cesar Bacarella or Mr. I wreck every car I'm in, just ruining teams I'm with. Like, this will push people away. It always does. Now, I have played Cesar in every one of these races. Okay, that's just how it is. So, but nobody plays him because he DNFs a lot. We're looking for low ownership plays. That's all it is. So, in races to where, yet again, I use 65% of the field. I think it's more if you actually look at the numbers. Some people will argue less for the Xfinity Series, whatever the case may be. But when you enter a race, you have a 65% chance of DNF, and if not higher. Okay, we're just chasing ownership on these plays. Okay, and so somebody that looks very unattractive like this is going to carry less ownership, and that's what we want to do. Specifically when we get his 12th place finish, when we get a 6th place finish, like that's GPP winning plays. And combine that with the low ownership, like that's why. Like, Caesar's going to look good in my opinion. That's why I want to play him. But anyway, so we have Parker, we got Moffitt, Williams finishes races, Weatherman finishes races, but these guys are a little too high up for me. I'm not playing any of these guys. So any ownership these guys carry, I frankly don't give two shits about. We are mainly just concerned about these last 3 guys here and possibly ownership in the top of the 20s, but past that, that's really about it. Now, secondly, or the secondary tier of ownership is going to center around Greg Alding, Nally Decker, and J.J. Yaley for yet again a very similar fashion. When we look at these drivers here, how much time we got? 49 minutos. When we look at Greg Alding, now I play a lot of these. Guys. These races. I play a lot of these people when they're in races. Okay, when we look at Greg Alding, basically winning a lot of money. Compared to where he's starting here, going to win a lot of money, specifically when he's in 33rd to this point. Like, these are situations where he's not going to kill a line, and if anything, he's going to elevate it to at least cash. Like, he can single-handedly carry that. Specifically, when we look at these bullshit cars that he was in, and the Jimmy Means cars and stuff, I mean, it's unfortunate he didn't finish these races. But nobody's playing him in a Mike Harmon car. He's back in the Panini 08 car for Bobby Daughter. These cars are slow. But Greg Alding's going to get you through the field. When we look at these races, and I know you guys aren't idiots, at least in here, at least in this chat, like, you understand that Greg Alding doesn't have the motor to get through the field and run up front. Like, he's like by default forced to run last. Okay, and so Greg Alding is going to carry ownership. We have J.J. Yaley back here, who's yet again in this vehicle to take care of cars. Typically, we see him for MBM. Well, we've seen him in MBM cars recently, but very similar thing. When we look at where he's finishing here, he's finishing races. J.J. Yaley is not racing stupid, okay? Doesn't matter what car he's in, Yaley's finishing races, okay? Garrett Smithley, similar, very, very similar thing. These guys are going to finish races. These guys are not going to tear vehicles up. Now, he's only done 2 recently here, but he's not tearing vehicles up. He's in here for a reason. So when we're looking at direct ownership, it's these 5 guys, and I probably need to, I don't know if that's going to really show up on the video. Let's kind of lower this and do a softer orange. So it's these 5 guys, your big ownership being on Clements, Anderson, and Sieg, secondary ownership being on Greg Alding, Yaley, and Smithley, which I'm perfectly fine. I did see a question earlier, which I haven't looked now, but it was asking what is my top exposure, or what do I like being at, and so everybody knows and I don't mean to repeat things, but I always get new viewers or questions, and I just hate answering stuff over and over and over again. But I'm very aggressive with my lineups. Typically whenever I build lines in any sport, for any contest, for anything, it's they're all usually very similar. So for me, it's not insane for me to be like, yeah, I'm 100% on this guy. I'm 95, I'm 90, 85, I'm 80% on these guys. That's not a concern for me. At plate races, I like to keep it my max at like 75 to 70. That's where I'm at. But all my lines are built the same way. So really, all my drivers I have like 55 to 60% on, typically. Like that's just what it is. All my lines are built the same. And so like if one guy gets taken out, that's like 8 of my 20 lines, or 12 of my 20 lines having some dude DNFing or some guy wrecking. But I'm not really concerned about that. So when it comes to Greg Alding, Yaley, and Smithley, I love these three fuckers. Like I'm gonna be over the field on them regardless. Nobody ever touches me in terms of ownership on these plate races, and I think you should have a lot of Greg Alding, Yaley, and Smithley as well. I think those guys make a ton of sense. When we look at these two guys, we have Caesar, who I just mentioned, who wrecks in everything, okay, who's just a horrific guy. We have Alex, who has never even seen a racetrack this big before, okay. Are these guys really any different? Is there a distinction between these guys? So people don't want to play Caesar because he wrecks a lot. Alex has never been here before. There's a high likelihood he wrecks in this race because he just doesn't have an experience, okay? I think those guys are great plays, ownership-wise. Nobody wants to play Alex. He has no data supporting him. He was, horrific in Q. He's sliding up the track, which is, I would probably be doing the same. Actually, I would probably pull like a Neil Bonnet. I'd just be over fucking correcting on the outside wall and killing myself. So, shout out to Alex for not doing that. He's clearly already better than Neil Bonnet and Adam Petty. All these guys are at least like not dying in the Xfinity series yet. Well, I guess Neil died in the Cup series, but you know what I'm saying. Like Alex could have been worse here, but like he's not keeping it to the bottom. And Q, like he's clearly inexperienced. Caesar is just he's alpha beta prime, man. He's alpha beta prime, all balls and no brakes. That's just what he is. He's gonna go full throttle into these wrecks. They're both bad plays. They both shouldn't show upside at all. But I like them based on ownership. Nobody wants to play these guys. It makes a ton of sense. Just play them with the guys who are going to be high owned, and there you are. Same thing with Joe Graff Jr. Joe Graff Jr. is another guy here that I typically, and it's not even I have feelings for people like, oh, I want to play these guys. Because Joe Graff Jr. could have a fucking stroke here and die in the race, and I could care less. I truly don't care. But when we look at his finishing positions here, he's finishing races. You also have to look at, when you see them running but also finishing bad, that means, hey, this race went green. He went 2 laps down. The race went green. Hey, he finished 10 laps down here. Now things could have happened here, but most likely this race went green because he only finished 29th. But Joe Graff Jr. is going to keep. He's not going to be in trouble. They don't have the skill. They don't have the speed to be up there. Like if you're so slow, you're not going to be up there like racing and putting yourself into a disastrous situation. Okay? Same thing with Perkins. Perkins, everybody just understands that he flipped over at Talladega earlier in the year. But like Joe Graff Jr., all these guys here are guys that I want to focus on. Connor Mosack, very similar to Alex. No experience here Now, I could be wrong. I don't really care enough to go check, but I could have swore he's ran a race at Talladega or Daytona. Racing Reference is saying that he doesn't. We have seen before that they don't update this, and guys who should be included in this search result for super speedways for Daytona and Talladega or other tracks like don't show up. So like I don't really care enough to go back and look. But that should show that Connor Mosack shouldn't have any data in the sheets and stuff. So, like Kyle C., Connor Mosack, like all these guys shouldn't have a ton of ownership. Certainly compared to these guys in light orange. We got Nally Decker, who's making her infamous return to, Daytona. When we look at how she's been, I didn't copy the name. When we look at Nally Decker, 1 start. I know she's done some truck races, but like, dude, even Nally Decker can finish 24th here. And this was her. She is not racing here at Talladega. She is not in the pack. She's not racing. She's going to finish, okay? And so very similar. When you look at everybody has a 65% chance of wrecking. You're going to have Ryan Sieg. You're going to have Anderson. You're going to have Jeremy Clements carry a lot of ownership. Well, Nally Decker, nobody wants to play Nally Decker because she sucks. So when Nally Decker starts this race at 7 to 17% ownership, which I doubt it's going to be that high. And she finishes 25th, and Jeremy Clements, gets wrecked out or finishes 24th right in front of her. I mean, the ownership, the game theory play was Natalie Decker, So I'm playing everybody as I've highlighted so far. I'm in lines, and everybody I've highlighted, that's my pool. That's it. I'm building 38 to 24th today. That's just where we're at. If this race doesn't wreck out, we're not making jack shit. I've had a fantastic week so far on esports, and I mean baseball to an extent, but won a Counter-Strike contest, tied for first in the League of Legends contest this morning. So I already budgeted money for Daytona. I'm not even going to have to get into that. I've already walked away with this week with profit. I could lose all the money I entered this weekend and still have a good week. So at this point, I really don't care about them going green. If they go green, it doesn't even affect me. I really don't care. So I'm building this way. These are the guys I'm focusing on. And so let's look at the chat and everything. We're at 40 minutes until the slate locks. So let's go ahead and go here. 76 of you guys talking here. Thank you. What's going on, Preacher? I don't recognize you, but praise the racing guides. I set 2 rules in SaberSim. X out first through 10, and currently have my min uniques to 3. I have no idea what that means. Okay, I read that earlier. You have it set up to build lineups that have 3 unique drivers in your lineup pool, which I understand the rule. I understand what the rule is. I don't understand why that's a rule. I don't understand why you're doing that. I feel like you're really, now, unless you really want to diversify your field, I mean, go right ahead. But I don't think that is, I would never institute that rule. I need 3 unique guys in every single line, because then you're going to start getting lineups that have a one-off with Weatherman, a one-off with Jones, a one-off with Herps, or you're going to have 4 guys back here, and then you'll have Sam Mayer and then Anthony Alfredo. I just don't like that upside. I don't like those builds. That just me personally, I wouldn't agree with that. I don't know how many lines you're doing. I guess if you're doing 150, I guess, I don't know, but 20, that seems like an extreme rule. If you're hard set on I need X amount of uniques in each line, do 2 at max. But yet again, I'm pretty nuts in terms of I'm usually just heavy on the guys that I like anyway. So looking at min uniques out of my 20 lines, I probably have it's probably 1 to 0 between. Oh, it's got to be 1 because it would be different. Yeah, so a lot. My min uniques 1 in per line because I hand build and whatever. Is there max exposure? I kind of answered that already. What's up, Eagles? Best of luck this week. Why is Natalie Decker racing at Daytona? Well, exposure? I don't know. I honestly can't tell you. I don't know. There's rumors, and this is just, not clearly it's there. We all know the reason, but I think she's having to at least start races here and there so NASCAR doesn't take away her license. A driver's license, because she's in true gray area of NASCAR and this good Christian sport, because she has a Patreon to where she sells semi-nude pictures, which, look, I'm not having that discussion. There's very few people who support sex workers and the sex industry more than I. I have a very favorable look towards that. That's not me throwing trash any for anybody who does that for money. I'm just saying that there's a lot of rumors because she's started an OnlyFans account but hasn't posted anything on there. There's a real worry that if she does go fully into that, NASCAR is going to revoke her license. So I'm not exactly sure what the play is there. I'm assuming that she just needs to start some races or have at least have attempted starts or whatever. And then also we got Wawa sponsoring her and 4 other drivers as well, which I was really hoping we'd get the Wawa team in the back and just have fucking 4 Wawa drivers in your lines. You're not having that tonight, sadly. But there is some undertones regarding that for Natalie Decker, but that's just me speculating and thinking of stuff. I'm not entirely sure. In terms of her racing, I don't really care. I don't care why she's racing. I'm just glad she's in the field because nobody's going to play her. Yes, all the Segan Anderson tonight we know. Are you talking in CP Mafia Discord? I don't know what that is. So if anybody is saying that they're me or whatever, that's not me. Do I really give a shit? I don't really fucking care. The only Discords I'm in that I'm active in my Discord, okay? I'm in True DFS, and I check that quite a lot, but I rarely talk in it. I'm in other ones, but I never speak anything. Speaking of that, I was in the Highline Betting Discord for like a week and a half, and then I got kicked from it. All because I mentioned that, like, nobody's going to pay the guy for lap-by-lap practice data. That's all I said. I didn't say anything. It was the same thing I said on this live show. I was, like, laughing with him because I saw he posted. He was like, guys, you guys are going to have to start paying me for this because this is a lot of work. You know, I'm not doing this shit for free. And I was just laughing. I was like, we've all been there. It's a lot of work pulling lap-by-lap data because everybody wants it, but nobody wants to put the work in. All I mentioned was that in Discord. And then I was out of town this last week, and I was like, let me go check the Discords. And I was like, I'm no longer a member of the Highline Betting Discord. So I think it's better for me to just not mention anything in any Discord I'm in. But I am not in CP Mafia or whatever that is called, Chandler. Segan Anderson have the pastors, I believe. Why does that even matter? Jalen, why does that matter, dude? Why does that matter? They could start the race on 3 tires. They could do a Le Mans start. Everybody else could be taking the green flag. They could be running from the infield to get in their vehicles, and I'd still play them. I really don't care. 11K left, is that normal? Yeah, for this stuff. If anything, you know, any amount is playable here. If you're leaving 200 on the table, you better hope that race goes green. If you're leaving 11K or more on the table, you better pray this race turns into a wreck fest. Take on Justin A. going to the back. Why are we playing Allgaier? Ay, what a bad question. Why? Pope, why? He's starting 12. Why? My take is don't play anybody inside the top 20. That's just my take. Mozak to the rear too. Why does that matter? There's like 4 guys dropping to the rear. You know, we got Jeb Burton in his dad's 22 machine. I look. I just want to hear Ward Burton say state water heaters like one time, and then we just send that car through the fence. Like, get rid of this crap. You know, like Kyle Sieg in the Davey Allison 28 car. Kyle, you don't even understand how great of a driver Davey Allison was. Why are we giving it to like Kyle Sieg? Like, somebody send that 28 into the fence. I hope both these throwback cars just get destroyed. We all need to complain about DK and bring back the mini. I hope they don't bring it back. I was just hoping it'd be here one more week. Well, I think they took it away last weekend because I was going to max enter the 4 this weekend. I have enough to max enter the 5, and I have enough to max enter the 15, but I do not want to do that. So, and then I was hoping they throw up another $10, but it was fucking terrible for this Xfinity Series race. So right now I'm just in the 25, the 4, 50 cent, the 5, the 10, and the 1. That's all we got into today. That is a grand total. I think that's like 416 or something today on Xfinity. Let's see what's going on, Clutch. It is about that time, man. I'm looking forward to this race. I want to see some big old chaos, some big old records. Yeah, I think that's mainly it. I think we've really talked about most of the stuff here. If you guys still got questions, I mean, feel free. We'll talk about them. But it's just playing ownership and praying that these idiots wreck, and playing that you have like 11% of the field playing Austin Hill, and those idiots pay the rake, and then past that, you know, we can just have a good old time. The payout structure was good in the Mega. I disagree. I didn't like it. I didn't like it in the 4. If we're thinking about that one, for Cup Series, I just don't. I'm not a big fan of a $4 that pays out the top 20%, top 20, top 19, but like it's still like stacked heavily. You know, a lot of people like the 9K or the $9 slant in the NFL. How it's, you know, 10% to first, and I don't remember how much it is for like the next 10%, but I just don't. I think DFS would be way more fun if you like paid out the top 25 to 33% of the field and gave first place like, I don't know, 5% or something like this. I mean, this Xfinity series, which also sucks because we got the 4 races today. College football is back, so this is a smaller Xfinity contest than what I played in last year. Like last year, I won 10,000 finishing second for less than a fast lap. Now it's the first place payout here. You know, it was a much bigger contest last year. Like I think first place today should pay out like 5,000. You should pay second like 4. You should pay third like 3,500 or something. I would personally bring down the top like 3-4 finishes and spread that out and just pay a little bit more of the contest. But that's just me, and that's never gonna happen. You play MMA tonight? Is there MMA? I thought they fight on Saturdays. I don't know what that is. No, I'm not playing anything else but NASCAR and F1 this weekend. Let's see. 82 you guys here. Thank you very much for joining me on this Friday evening. I think we're going to probably head off pretty soon. We'll talk. So 2 things. I guess I'll do my rant after this, or my little story today. So I have learned, I'm learning about baseball more and more. This is a guy who I used to never watch baseball. I found it boring. I found it slow. You know, they made it go faster several years ago, and it was still too slow for me. Now, this year, we got the pitch clock and everything, and I actually enjoy it. It's pretty fast. I have no idea what's going on in it, you know? So, like, I'm watching this Red Sox and Astros game yesterday because I've just stacked the shit out of it in my 20 max. I have, like, 18 of my 20 lines have 5 Boston players in it. And I'm watching it, and I have no idea what's going on in a sense of, like why they're pulling like the first pitcher in the 3rd inning, which I understand the guy was terrible, but then they bring in like a new pitcher, and this is what I'm saying in Discord because I don't like stupid questions here in chat, like because like don't ask stupid questions. Like I would never go into a live before lock on like Roto Grinders and be like, what is a position pitcher? Like that's a dumb question to ask, but I don't know that stuff. But I'm not going to waste people's times with that when they're talking fucking game theory, and I'm asking what is a position pitcher or whatever. So anyway, I'm in my Discord because some of the guys get a kick out of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm winning money, but I have no idea what the hell's happening in this game. Like this one guy, this new pitcher came out and he missed the box like 4 times. Then he hit the batter. And then I have a friend in my Discord who I've been friends with for years, and he DMs me later, and he's like, "Do you mean the strike zone? Is that what you're referring to when you say the square?" I'm like, "I guess it is. I don't know. That little square he's supposed to hit, he missed it." Or late in the game, I guess they pulled the other pitcher, and there's I didn't realize this at the time, but there's like just a dude on the mound, like throwing like a super soft overhand throw at like 50, 54 miles per hour, 45 miles per hour. Like it's not even getting to the plate. There's one time where it's like hitting a batter in the foot. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I don't understand that. And then the ones that make it to the plate are just being like slung out of the park. And so I'm like going over this, and one of the guys in Discord is like, "Oh, is it a position pitcher pitching?" And I'm like, I have no idea what that is. Like my knowledge of baseball is so low. I need you to go through all this stuff. So I have this weekend. You know, last week I learned how to count the ball and strike number. Okay, now this week I have learned that the square is called the strike zone, and there can be these things called position pitchers. I mean, baseball is a fascinating sport. This is so interesting. So that's my baseball update. Secondly, with my story today, we'll see if we got any more. Yeah, we don't have any more. 5 a.m. They must be in Europe, and I'm not playing MMA this weekend. So today, I woke up because I'm about to sit on my ass for 2 days. I'm about to watch this and watch NASCAR tomorrow, and I'm not going to do anything. So I get up early, and I go. I'm like, I'm going to go take a walk. I'm going to go, go through the trails and walk for like 30 minutes, come back, shower, get stuff done, be in a good mood to build lineups and stuff for Xfinity. So I go out there and I turn my key and my car doesn't start. And the battery's dead, which isn't a bad thing. That's fine. I've replaced tons and tons of batteries. It's not, I'm not worried about this at all. I'm like, oh, yeah, my battery died. That makes sense. I haven't replaced this battery since we got this truck. That's fine. Okay, so I go upstairs, ask my ex, hey, can I borrow your car? I got to go to... Now, I also want to add that I only use AutoZone. Not AutoZone. I only use O'Reilly's, and very rarely Napa. I have never been into an AutoZone, like ever. Okay? But that's the closest auto parts store to my apartment. I'm not driving any farther than that to go to Walmart to buy a battery, although I would love to, because I've bought several batteries from Walmart. That it's just fine. As long as you're not buying the cheapest thing anywhere, you're perfectly fine. But that's a long drive, so I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm gonna go to AutoZone. I'll buy a battery. I'll rent some tools. I'll take this out. This is a 10-minute ordeal. I have done this several times. I have taken the battery out of a vehicle several times. Okay, so I get to AutoZone, right? And I'm like, dude, here, let's get a Duralast battery. I'm not here to fuck around. And so I'm like 220 into this fucking day already, okay? And I'm like, hey, can I rent a ratchet set or something so I could take this battery out? And this guy's, not really caring, there for the money. It's retail. He's not helping me out at all. And he's like, oh, well, we don't really rent out ratchet sets. And I was like, oh, man, well, that's unfortunate, because I know you guys rent out other tools, because it says right there on the door you rent out other tools. And as I'm walking in, there's a guy outside who's doing a battery replacement on another customer's vehicle, which also, secondly, if you want to say, I've never worked AutoZone, I've never worked retail at an auto parts store, but I'm going to say right now, if you guys don't know, if you ask somebody to, how these places offer you a free battery replacement, if you ask them to do that, you're basically telling them that you want to fuck them and, fuck their family as well. That is a shit gig. Okay? That's so terrible. Nobody wants to be out there replacing somebody else's battery. If you're ever like, yeah, could you replace this battery for me at a retail place? You might as well just, give them the bird, because, dude, that shit blows. Okay? And, or the windshield wiper, anytime you guys want them to put windshield wipers on, it's when it's raining. How many times you've been past a parts place and some employees out there in a raincoat putting on windshield wipers for somebody who had bad windshield wipers. Anyway, so that guy comes back in and he's like, yeah, let him take, the ratchet, or let him take some stuff. And the guy's like, no, I can't do that. Maybe I can give you some sockets or whatever. So I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. What do I got to do to take, my ratchet and 2 sockets? Because I probably need a 10 millimeter, probably a 12 millimeter. Well, I'll see if I need more, whatever. I'll come back. And he's like, well, company policy is we need to have an ID on here if you're going to take something. And I'm like, well, dude, I got to drive back to the apartment. You want me to just give you my driver's license? And he's like, yeah, that's what we got to do. So, all right, so I'm 220 in already with the battery. I'm giving him my ID, because if I'm already driving a vehicle that I don't have insurance on, I might as well just say fuck it and drive without a license. So I drive back here to replace the battery. And so I open it up, and wearing this is a 2017 Chevy Silverado, and it has a bar going over the battery terminal. And I'm like, what the fuck is this for? There's no structural integrity. Why is this? This is just so overly complicated. This is fucking bullshit. Whatever. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I don't have a socket that fits this fucking bar. So I'm like, I gotta fucking go back, because this dude wouldn't give me all the sockets. So I go back to the AutoZone. I'm like, okay, can you give me a 5/8 or something, please, man? Give me something bigger than he's like, all I got is the 10 mil and the 12 millimeter. And so I just say, do you have a crescent wrench that I can use? Do you have anything that I can use? At this point, I'm an hour into this ordeal. I just want to get this over with. And he's like, no, I don't. So I say, okay, fuck it. I'm just going to buy a fucking crescent wrench, just an adjustable one, just so I can take this stupid bar off to get to my fucking battery. Okay, so I come back here. I get the crescent wrench. I've taken everything off. I've taken the terminals off. I've got everything off. There's another thing on the bottom of this battery. Like I'm talking like I'm inept on working on cars, and that is not the case here. I am very comfortable inside an engine and dealing with stuff. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to use the crescent wrench to get this like rubber stop to hold the battery down, which is like, I just throw batteries in vehicles. Like, I never bother putting that shit on. Like, my battery is not going to fly off anyway. Like, I'm not jumping. I'm not in the Baja. I'm not rolling this bitch over. Like, the battery is not going anywhere. Why are we logging these batteries in like it's a fucking lithium battery in an electric vehicle? And so, I kid you not, I spend like 40 minutes trying to get this motherfucker off the battery. Like I said, the battery's taken out. I'm just trying to get the battery out. And mind you, this battery's like 45 pounds in the corner. So I'm like, I'm getting frustrated. So I'm like, I'll just go ask my apartment. I'll go ask the maintenance guys if they have a 5/8 socket for me to get this stupid thing off of. So I walk over to the office. I'm like, hey, you know, like I'm talking to the maintenance guy, and he's like, or I'm like, hey, do you have a 5/8 socket real fast, or like a screwdriver for me to like pry this off, like pry the battery out from under this? I just need to get this off so I can replace the battery. He's like, no, man, we don't have that stuff. I'm like, dude, come on. I know you got that stuff. Your maintenance. It's in your cart right now. I'm not going to steal it. I'm not going to go take it to a pawn shop and sell it for $1. Like, I just need to get this battery out of my fucking truck. So I go back and I mess with it some more. And so I'm like, okay, fuck it. I'm going to wedge this bitch out. I'm going to wedge this battery out. Okay. And in my truck, I have like this little Spetsnaz shovel. And I know you're like, Brandon, you're using a shovel to take a battery out. Yeah, I'm just trying to wedge it out. Okay, I'm literally like, I'm not gonna puncture the battery. I'm not gonna destroy anything. I'm not gonna knock all the oxygen sensors off of where I'm working. I'm just trying to get this stupid thing out. And so I wish somebody would have taken a picture of me, because it had to look hilarious. I'm also in workout clothes this whole time, because I was supposed to go just take a quick walk in the trails. So at this point, it's been like 2 hours. I can't get this motherfucking battery out. I'm bending my shovel. Like, so I just give up. I just give up. I'm like, fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore. I'll just call a record service and I'll pay the guy $60 so he can just use his 5/8 fucking socket to take this battery out so I can put the new battery in. So I put everything back. I put my brand new battery in the floorboard of my truck, lock it up, head back to the AutoZone to get my fucking ID back. And at this point, it has been 2.5 hours. I wanted to be in a good mood. I wanted to be like refreshed to start working on stuff. I wanted to have my shower. I wanted to have my lunch. No, I sit down, I take a shower, and I get food like 10 minutes before Xfinity qualifying. Like, I have pissed away 3 hours of my day trying to get my battery out of my truck. And so that is my story today. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Thank God I already have everything. Like, I'm not going to go out. I don't have to go out to like next week to get any groceries or anything. But I just found that hilarious. And I don't understand the overcomplicated design of newer vehicles. This is why I didn't follow working on newer vehicles. This is why I'm not a mechanic or a public mechanic. I love working on my own stuff outside of the newer vehicles. But yeah, that's my day. That's my story. And, yeah, that's it. So, like, man, fuck new vehicles. And that's a 2017. I can't imagine working on a fucking 2023 out there. But, yeah, that was that. So, what are you guys doing here? I would not get an alternator from any of them. Went through 5 before I broke down. I use Rock Auto, man. I've bought tons of shit from Rock Auto. And I don't have an issue at all. Even my family too. Like, we've bought I don't think I've ever bought an alternator from them, but I know I've bought shocks and lower control arms and stuff from Rock Auto, and like I'd love Rock Auto, man. Might be a bit early. Thoughts on the trucks here? I have no idea, Andrew. It's okay. Best into a live show. I'm glad, dude. Batteries can blow up in your face. First off, the battery's dead. Secondly, it's disconnected. Third, I've replaced, as I said, tons of batteries. Used to do this all the time on the race cars. Done this all the time on my own. I'm not hitting the battery with the shovel. I'm just trying to wedge the rubber like bump stop that's holding the lip of the battery on the bottom, because I don't know if you've ever seen the inside of a battery where the reservoir is, like that's on the top. The bottom is pure polymer. Like the bottom is pure plastic. Like there's nothing there. But yeah, so that was it. So when you say, around yeah, it's so like, dude, I don't have the fucking tools, man. Also, because, my girlfriend and I broke up, and I went ahead and got her tools and stuff. And that's just what I would always use. Well, she's leaving and everything. We already packed. All that shit's in storage. All that shit is like across town in fucking storage, which hindsight would have just been way better. It would have just made way more sense to just drive over there and get the tools. But no, I just figured it was AutoZone. They'll clearly rent me a ratchet and socket set to replace a battery. It didn't go that way. Why not buy a socket set? Can't be more than $60, and you would have. That's another thing. I already have tools. They're just installed. I'm not going to buy a brand new socket set for this stuff. Like it was a mess. Also, I'm not buying a shitty ass $60 socket set, dude. I'm buying a Cobalt socket set. I'm not going to buy another one of those. It was a mess. Also, like I don't have impact wrenches here. All that shit's with my mom. Like I'm not rebuying a lot of stuff that I've already bought, And so anyway, I just thought that was hilarious, and literally turned a 8-minute job into a 2-hour ordeal where I was just pissed off and furious, and I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, don't buy shitty tools either, man. $60. Look, you gotta buy. I'm not saying go out there and buy Milwaukee, because that's pretty expensive. But like, dude. Spend real money on tools, and you will never advise anybody to buy a $60 socket set at all. Yet again, I'm here buying a 220 battery. Should have bought a new truck. I need to just get my Jeep back from El Paso, man. I got a really nice 2001 Jeep Wrangler TJ that I love. Anyway, maybe I'll tell the story of how I blew the bell housing apart on that one tomorrow. I think that'll be a good story for you guys to hear. Anyway, best of luck. Enjoy the Xfinity Series race, and I'll see you guys later.